It's not about how many books you read, but how much you can actually remember from them and how well you're going to use the advice you read about in your own life. Hi, it's Mariana. Welcome to my channel. Today we are going to talk about note-taking techniques. We are going to cover a lot, so take notes. There are a lot of methods and techniques that you can use in order to keep notes from the books you read. Before you decide which method is best for you, I want you to think about why do you actually want to take notes and how are you going to use those notes later on. I have to admit that I hate taking notes while reading. So if I'm reading for pleasure, I don't take any notes. Only if I feel that the book I'm going to read is going to change my life or has something valuable and I will use the information in it later in my life, then I make sure that I use one of the methods I'm going to describe in this video. If the book is yours and you don't mind writing in it, you have several options. The most used one is probably highlighting. You just highlight the interesting parts. If you want to take a step further, you can write in the margins. You can have a dialogue with the author, you can comment on what is there, you can provide examples from your own life or whatever you think about while reading. And I think it's not only beneficial for you because it encourages active learning, and even if you don't review those notes ever again, you will remember more from the book. But I think it's also valuable if you have the book in your bookshelf and then maybe your child or even a grandchild picks up the book and reads it, they might find your notes even more interesting than what the writer actually wrote. One tip that I personally found very useful is to use a blank paper instead of a bookmark. So I found myself many times in a situation where I want to continue reading a book, for example, on a train, but I forgot my notebook where I keep notes. And then I'm like, oh, I can't read the book right now because I don't have my notebook. I have to wait till I have the notebook. So what I do now is if I want to keep notes from the book, I have a paper, blank paper as a bookmark inside of it, and I just write my notes on it. Once I fill the whole page, I just fold it, I put it at the back or at the front of the book, and then I take another paper. And if I'm just focusing on the main ideas, I might have just 1 or 2 sheets of paper and I have all the main ideas in the book noted down. If you feel that taking notes from book distracts you from reading, I suggest the Morse code method. I came across it while reading Cal Newport's blog. Cal Newport is a best-selling author. You may know his books Deep Work, So Good They Can't Ignore You, or Digital Minimalism. The Morse code method allows you to read a chapter without any distractions. So what you do is you have a pen, and while reading, when there is a new idea mentioned, you make a dot next to it in the margins. When there is an example of that idea, you make a dash. Nothing else. So you can really read without any distractions. And once you're finished with the chapter, you then can go back and just revisit those dots and dashes and turn those into notes in your notebook or whatever system you're using to take notes. Another method that I really like is the index of key ideas. I heard about it on Tim Ferriss's podcast with Maria Popova. Maria Popova is a great writer, and I actually have a video all about her and life lessons from her, so check it out if you're interested. But what Maria Popova does is, while she reads, she not only highlights the interesting ideas from a book, but she creates an index at the end of each book. So on the last page of each book, she writes down the main ideas and themes of the book that are relevant to her life. And then when she comes across it in the book, she then notes the page number in the index area. So if she then takes the book years and years later, she can quickly go to the index and see all the topics that are relevant to her life and then where they are mentioned in the book. If you're keeping notes in a digital form, you know that some of the software that is out there is able to link ideas and tag ideas. So for example, if you're keeping notes and come across an idea about time management, you can tag it as time management. Then you do it again and again and again with different books. And then when you want to know what everything you noted under time management, just click on it and you can see it all across different books. If you are keeping track in a physical notebook, this is quite hard to do, but there is a solution and it's called the Highfive notebook method. It is very similar to Maria Popova's method, but here you use it for the notebook where you keep track of all different notes from a variety of books. How it works is the last page of your notebook acts as index. When you have a new topic that appears in the book, you index it in the notebook. Let's say you wrote down great advice about investments. You go to the back of your notebook and you write investment under the index. Then you go to the page with that advice and you make a mark on the left side of the right page on the same line as is the investment in the index page. You repeat this process with any new information. Then if you would like to locate all the information on investment within the notebook, it's very easy to do so. Last but not least, the most complex system, the holy grail of note-taking, the Commonplace Book. I have this from Ryan Holiday, who had it from other people, and apparently it has been going on for centuries. It's a collection of not only notes from books that you read, but also ideas that you just want to note because you find them interesting. Maybe something that you read on the internet, something that was mentioned in a movie, someone else mentioned it to you, or it might be also just your own ideas. And this is how it works. So when reading a book and you find a passage that is interesting, you mark it. Maybe in the margins you write your own comments and thoughts. Every page that has something, some kind of idea that you mark down, you fold the bottom corner of the page so that later on when you revisit it, you can quickly see where you actually have something noted. A few weeks later, and that's really important, it has to be a few weeks later, you go back to that and you revisit all the pages that have this bottom corner folded and you review all the ideas that you marked. It's important to give yourself this space of time so that you can actually see if the information that you found interesting, is it actually something you want to note? It's an excellent way of editing irrelevant information or something that was interesting maybe at that point, but it doesn't really make sense of noting down. If you still find this information that you noted interesting, you take a small note card and you write down the idea. Every idea needs to have its own card. On the top of the card, you write a theme or the category that the idea belongs to. If one idea belongs to multiple categories, you need to duplicate that card. And then you take the card and put it into a box where you collect the ideas. It's kind of important to know why you're actually writing the notes. Are you focusing on notes or ideas that are going to help you in your career or in your personal life? If you're focusing on self-improvement and personal life, you might have categories such as relationship, fitness, health, finances, etc. And then in the box, you will have separators for those categories. You just put the new cards with new ideas to the category they belong to. It might seem like a lot of work, but I think there is a very high reward. Like imagine that you have one box which contains all the ideas that you ever found interesting, that you came across, whether in a conversation or in a book. I actually created my own version of the Commonplace Book in a digital form and I made a whole video about it, so if you're interested, make sure you check it out. Thank you for watching. I hope you find it useful. If you did so, make sure that you like this video, and if you would like to see more from me, make sure you are subscribed so you don't miss out on any of my new content. Thank you, and I'll see you next time. Bye!